What's up, guys? Anybody in here? Is this thing on? We got two people. Cool. What's up, two people? All right, three. What's up, Common Writer? What's up, guys? Uh, it's been a long day. I've been good. How have you been? Are you guys training or what? What's up, Anthony? What's up, OC Sob SOB 007? Oh, I guess that's OC Son of a Bitch 007. Cool. You're welcome, brother. You got not training, huh, Z? Oh, Bosco spelled backwards. I see it now. That's cool. Just got a question. What's the best home mats for two people? Um, all I can say is I have Dolomer mats. So Dolomer makes the mats for my gym as well. I also have a bunch of small Dolomer mats that are good for home use. I actually keep them in my garage. I've got like six of them in my garage right now. I use them for different activities rarely, but if I'm gonna go do a some type of demonstration somewhere, I'll bring those little home mats instead of bringing the really nice mats that I have at the gym. So, who dotted you in the eye? Well, if you haven't noticed, guys, I don't know which one you're talking about. If you're talking about this one or you're talking about this one, I tend to always look like I have a black eye. I don't know how to do this. So I kind of always look like that. I might have got popped. It's possible, but this right here is a metal plate I have in my face. Um, my face was smashed in Thailand from a motorbike accident. So about 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, I was over there training in Thailand, and I have no memory. I got smashed on a motorbike. I have five metal plates in my face. I have one here. I have a crack. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a crack in the orbital, or not the orbital, but above here. That this is hard. This is really strong. This part got cracked. All this cheek orbital area was completely crushed. Um, five metal plates, one, two, and then I've got three and four and five, and then I have a piece of plastic that's behind it that holds it all in place. So, um, anyway, it was a crazy accident. Could have died, but they put me back together, and I'm still ugly. So, yeah, that's why you might see this kind of divot in my eye. It's always there. So I've had it for 10 years now. So, yeah, it is what it is. It always looks like that. And if I do get popped, it tends to swell up really, really easy. Sometimes this metal plate, it actually pokes through the skin sometimes if I do too much. So, um, that's why I don't really train striking sparring anymore. If I do, it's just play sparring. I don't want to get hit in my face. Um, I'm actually numb. Here's like, I don't think I've ever told you guys this. I'm actually numb from, I'm gonna draw a line. This side of my face, the right side going down my lip, okay? Right here, the line goes something like this, around, all the way up my skull, center line, and straight down. So this right here feels all normal. Like any of you guys, this all feels normal. This side right here, the side of my nose, up my head, my hair, side of my face, my cheek especially, down to my teeth, it's all numb. It's not completely. I mean, I can move my face. I was able to get my movement back, but I actually your brain kind of turns it off. But it's just the best way I can explain it. It's like when you fall asleep. If your arm falls asleep and you feel it's kind of fuzzy, numb, that's how my face feels all the time, but it's very small now. So not long after my accident, it was like a lot, and then it faded. And I think it's hard to remember, but maybe 2 years, 2 years after the accident, it got to its best point. So it only bothers me like very little. And again, it's just touching. I can feel my fingers right now, but it just feels a little numb. I'm not very in touch with it like on this side. This side feels like normal, and this side is like just a tiny bit falling asleep. But the good thing is I still have all my movement, so I did get all of the movement back. I can pretty much move my face, but you can see through my nose, my jaw. My jaw is actually not right. If you guys didn't know, you wouldn't be able to tell if I didn't say anything, but I can tell when I look in the mirror, and my face was a little bit different before, just a little bit. Anyway, that's my little Thailand getting fucked up story on a motorbike. Don't ride the motorbikes in Thailand, you guys. I was not even going fast. I have no memory. Someone hit me. I wasn't drinking. I don't drink alcohol at all. Um, I just got a message right here. It says, it caught my eye. Have you ever met Mike Ortiz? Yes, I'm friends with Mike Ortiz. Of course, we've met. We met in 2006, 2007, and at Big John's. We both taught at Big John's. He was the black belt that was teaching the no-gi class. I was the guy teaching the MMA class, or the MMA team, I should say, and he always taught the no-gi jiu-jitsu class. And then when he left and stopped teaching, I actually took over his classes there at Big John's. Anyway, I'm gonna try to scroll back and read what you guys said. I coach wrestling. So anyway, okay. Styles and smiles. Thoughts on Bushesha transitioning officially to MMA. I'm sorry, guys, and maybe I'm not always entertaining. I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. I really hope that Bushesha is working on the full game. I love jiu-jitsu representatives to go into MMA and be prepared. That means learning the proper amount of wrestling and learning the ever so important striking game. I'm not saying that I want jiu-jitsu guys to become strikers. Like that's all they do, which sometimes that happens and then they do terrible. But they need to be familiar. You shouldn't just walk into an MMA fight in 2020 and beyond and just think you're gonna do jujitsu. So that's not gonna work. It'll work at the lower levels, but it won't work at the highest level. So, and I'm sure somebody as high profile as Bushesha is going to he's going to go rise to the top pretty quick just because of his name. So I'm sure he'll be in Bellator or the UFC or something in no time. So unless he has a bad run right when he starts. So I coach wrestling K through 8, but just doing conditioning right now. As the parents say, no touching. I need some more ideas on what to teach solo. Yeah, Christopher. That's a good question. Um, Solo drills. There's probably a lot of great YouTube videos if you just put in solo wrestling drills. I'm sure there's tons. I don't know if I could really contribute too much more than what's already out there. I could probably come up with a few things, but uh, there's probably already lots of great videos on that. I'd love to hear, what techniques do you think make Khabib or Habib Nurmagomedov? I always sound calm Khabib. I go back and forth. Sorry, guys. I know the K is silent, but either way, so it can't help it. Um, why is he so dominant in MMA? Um, the What techniques do you think makes Nurmagomedov so dominant? Um, Obviously, it's his grappling overall. I mean, his striking. I mean, he's just a decent striker. He knows how to kickbox decent, and it's enough so he's not completely exposed. But it's obviously his wrestling sambo, and he's able to clinch. He's able to push guys into the fence. He has incredible power. Once he puts somebody into the fence, all of you know what Nurmagomedov does really good, guys, is that it's not just wrestling. And this is where I'll give something to Sambo, because Sambo is really kind of like a hybrid, where it has a lot of judo influence. And the judo influence, you're going to see Habib use a lot of foot sweeps. He may pick a single leg up and foot sweep and kick out the standing leg really, really well. I would say better than most high level wrestlers can do. And it's mostly probably because of his background, which is very diverse. I mean, when you're training in Sambo, and especially in Russia or Dagestan, um, you're going to get exposed to high level wrestling, Sambo. And again, not just that, but a true hybrid grappling, which mixes well the judo and wrestling to separate the two, and then talk about how over there they are one. They kind of put them together. So you don't see the American wrestlers use nearly as much judo as you'll see with the Russians. So I think that makes him unique. So American wrestlers, I don't think, do quite as well as Nurmagomedov, because he has that kind of style, and I think that makes him much better. I think that brings his level up. His jujitsu or submission skills has gotten a lot better. Um, I don't think he's can be exposed as much as he could have a couple years ago. Again, the race to beat him uh, is kind of over when it comes to the grappling world. The way to beat Habib now is to knock him out, is to avoid takedowns and knock him out. You're most likely not going to um, submit him on the mat. So if you're on the ground, you're not going to submit him, most likely. I mean, he's now reached a point, in my opinion, where he's way too skilled on the ground to just catch him in a submission by a jiu-jitsu guy. So that's not happening. But what can still happen is a good, confident wrestler like himself, or like Gaethje, um, can stay in the middle and not get pushed up against the fence, and possibly strike with him, force him into a striking battle where he tends to duck his head and not look at all times when he's striking. And if you're a better boxer, kickboxer, I still think that Habib's going to get knocked out at some point if he continues to fight. But if let's say he beats Gaethje, he's probably going to ride off into the sunset. Nobody will ever get him. He'll go down in history as the best ever. So it's one of those things where, obviously, if anybody fights long enough, Father Time will come for you, and then eventually the young lions will come and get you. But it's going to be interesting. And guys, just because I say these opinions, I just want to state it, guys, it doesn't mean I don't love the guy. I love watching him fight, and so many people think I hate and it's not at all that way at all. So obviously he's a great ambassador for the for grappling. So all right, could you do a video on how to know just enough jujitsu to keep a fight on the feet for strikers? Yeah, that'd be a good video. I'm interested in that, Common. So he wants a video on how to know just enough jujitsu to keep a fight on the feet for strikers. But I would change the question to just enough grappling, just because jujitsu typically doesn't have the kind of takedowns. If you just want to beat a jujitsu guy, um, you know, you can do that by learning some wrestling. But if you want to learn how to stop a wrestler from taking you down, you might need it just more. It's a little harder, in my opinion. But either way, the question's a good question. And yeah, I'd be interested in doing that sometime. So I actually, yeah, that's a great idea. I never thought of that. I'd like to do that. So Misfit asks, how's the situation with my house? My house is fine. Um, I assume he's talking about when it almost caught on fire. So, guys, my house almost burned down. Like, I don't know how long it's been, maybe 6 months, maybe a little more. It's hard to remember exactly how long ago that was. But yeah, my house almost caught on fire. My neighbor had a like batteries. It was almost like GoPro batteries for like a GoPro drone. They were plugged in and it caught fire. And I guess that happens sometimes. Batteries will overheat. You leave them plugged in and maybe recharging or something, and then, dude, it almost burned my whole house down. I'm lucky that it just barely, the fire department got called, and we just had bad smell, and then I had a little bit of drywall work, and that was it. His house got much more wrecked. His garage, complete garage, had to get redone. But my home, where I'm sitting right now, is right above his garage. So his garage is trashed, but I'm like sitting right now right above it. So all of that got had to be get replaced. All the drywall, everything got to get peeled off, bare bones, and then they just basically re-drywalled everything. He had to replace everything in his garage. He lost so much money in stuff he had. But fortunately for me, just smoke entered the house. Anyway, you don't care about that stuff. So my house is fine. Assuming that's what you mean. Any advice on locking up my partner following a Peterson? Um, Locking up my partner. So Corey, fan to MMA. I think you mean the Peterson for wrestling. So if you're talking about for a wrestling match, it's really hard to lock up Peterson unless you catch the guy. But don't be worried. You can certainly control the leg with one hand and push the wrist down into your crotch and push it against your inner thigh with your other hand. And that way you can still control your opponent. If you can't lock it right away, it's kind of hard to make a guy, because what he'll do is usually he'll turn away from you. And when he turns away from you, you're not locking it. But hold him there as long as you can, get your near fall points, and then rotate towards the legs or towards the head. If he's turning away, I like to go towards the head, control the wrist, reach back for a headlock, go from there. Anyway, um, ZZ, you're poor, so you've been looking at puzzle mats instead of Dolomer. Uh, yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, if you can't afford mats, it's kind of tough situation. I know that you guys you can go on and like Henry Gracie has a video on YouTube talking about how he makes the mats for the Gracie Academy. So that's one thing you can look at. You can go down to like a Home Depot, a Lowe's, like a hardware store, and pick up some carpet padding and actually just make your own home mats. If you can't afford regular mats, you can get some cheap carpet padding, or you can just like talk to somebody, try to find somebody who's replacing their carpet. A lot of times that stuff gets thrown out. I know it's kind of gross if it's been used for a long time, but sometimes it's not that bad. And you can just pick up some really cheap or used or just free carpet padding. And then remember, just it's carpet padding, but buy some canvas that can go over it, something to cover it up, and then it's nasty, but it's going to be underneath your top layer. So that's my best advice for you if you can't afford much. What's up, Varun? So what advice would you give a pure BJJ guy trying to do MMA? Um, Again, if a guy's a pure BJJ guy, here's the advice that I have for you. Um, Pulling guard is like a last option. You better work on your takedowns. Spend as much as time as you can in a wrestling room with wrestling opponents, learning how to take people down. Because if you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert, but you can't get it to the ground effectively, you need to get that kind of training, and that's the best way to go. Striking is obviously important. You need to work on your striking no matter what, but if you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, you need to have those takedowns, which is the key to get the fight where you need it so you can be dominant and feel at home. So, and fortunately, when you first start MMA, it really isn't that hard, guys. At the lowest levels, when you first start, if you're good at jiu-jitsu, that's what I mean. I mean, like MMA is a world of hurt if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But if you know jiu-jitsu, let's say you're a purple, brown, or black belt, which is kind of like I would call the upper level belts. So you're purple, brown, or black. Once you get on the ground, you should feel very comfortable with the majority of low level MMA competitors. Most of those guys that fight MMA guys, they're blue belts and less. They're at the lowest level. So, and I'm speaking of basically amateur MMA. Some states it could be professional. Some states are still behind others. So I've seen like amateurs in California a lot of times are better than pros in other states. It just is what it is. California is just a fairly strong state in the United States for jiu-jitsu and specifically MMA. We have more people. We have a lot of people, and we have a lot of jiu-jitsu, and there's a lot of fighters. So I'm not trying to pick on any other states, but if you have a really small state, and they don't have like a ton of MMA schools in the state, it's just a smaller gene pool, and therefore sometimes you'll go to those states and you'll go to these. I've seen these events. And they'll have a little either Indian reservation or they'll have a restaurant club like sectioned off and make an MMA fight on a Friday night, Saturday night, kind of crazy thing. And some of these guys, they look like they're straight out of the crowd. So if the guy at that level, if you're a purple belt, I mean, you're going to have a field day as long as you can get the fight to the ground. So what am I getting at? Learn some takedowns, learn some wrestling, learn some judo. Judo can help. I obviously favor wrestling. MMA is without a gi on. Wrestling's without a gi. Wrestling adapts better to MMA than judo does, but judo is not bad at all. So it'd be nice to do that as well. So the motor bicycle was not Bangkok ready. Common. I was actually in Phuket. I was at Tiger Muay Thai at the time. I was training at Tiger. I was actually teaching. I was about to teach a seminar the next day or 2 days later, and I wasn't able to teach my seminar at Tiger. But yeah, that was 2010. So when you enter a grappling match, do you go with a game plan, aiming for specific positions, submissions? And what do you think about such a topic in submission-only grappling events where they put you in a sub-only positions in overtime? Yes, for sure. You should go in with a game plan. Everybody has things they like. Some people say, I just like to just take what it gives me. I mean, that's true. Take what it gives you, but you should have a goal. There's nothing wrong with a plan. You have a plan A, you have a plan B. Like you have your number one moves you're looking for. If it doesn't go your way, you should have a backup plan. But if you're just like not paying attention, and you're just going to let it flow, which some people do. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I've done it many times and it's worked for me. But I now looking back as I'm older and I understand a lot more about the game than I did when I was younger. Um, a lot of times I could just flow and do the right thing with some guys, but that was because I was just better than them. And if you don't go in with game plans and prepare what you're going to do, then you're going to be caught by surprise more often. It's much better to kind of have an idea of what you want to get accomplished, and then you have an idea of what you're going to do if it doesn't go your way. That way, when it happens, you're not like thrown off of your game. You just execute the game plan. So whether even if that game plan is your backup plan, so it helps your mind stay in the moment and do what you need to do to accomplish the goal, and which is win. And when it comes to submission only, um, definitely you need to practice the overtime positions. And I assume you're speaking of like EBI rules, which is the most common, of course. You gotta practice the arm lock position, spider web, and you gotta practice the back control, the escaping, and the offense for these positions. So it's very important. I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's a huge part of that game because, um, especially if you're doing a submission only competition and you consider yourself fairly good and in good shape, you're likely to go overtime because two good guys struggle to submit each other. It happens all the time. So overtimes will happen frequently, and you know, and in submission only, you're not going to win by points. So you're going to go to overtime. You better be prepared with those overtime positions. So, Bruce, I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue of a metal endoskeleton. Yeah, that's a lot of people used to joke with me a lot, but it's been so long. A lot of people don't even remember, or like you guys. You guys probably just found out tonight that I even had, uh, all the problems. So, but that's one reason why my right eye looks a little different, and it's one reason I probably wasn't gonna train striking all that much after that. I mean, I did spend some time in 2000, maybe 11, 12, and I would wear a mask. I would just wear like a face shield and still like practice striking. But I'm hardly even grappling now. I mostly just teach. I roll a little bit here or there, but my shoulders are struggling right now, so I'm not even getting that much rolling in. On that subject, I rolled on Monday with one of my highest level guys. He probably should be a black belt. He's technically like still brown belt. I never promoted him, but he's been training for probably 16 years. Um, he's like he's at least 180. Um, he's definitely bigger than me by about 30, 40 pounds. Um, he just kicked the living dog shit out of me. I have never had my ass kicked that bad since 2007 when, or 2006 or 2007 when I rolled with BJ Penn. He was the only one that has ever kicked my ass quite that bad. And Javier Vasquez kicked my ass pretty bad. So these are the memories of getting my ass kicked was BJ Penn and Javier Vasquez. But those are the only two guys that I've ever gone with and went, fuck, I got beat up pretty bad. Um, both were a little bit bigger than me. BJ Penn was way bigger than me, and he kind of used a ton of strength. But um, either way, Monday this week, I got butt raped on the mat. So my shoulders do not hold up anymore. And once somebody's starting to open my elbow right now, I'm experiencing this getting older shit, guys. Right now, I'm in the middle of it. I knew I was getting old and I knew that like I couldn't do everything. And a lot of people talk about Henry Gracie talking about this subject about getting older and grappling. I just hit, I'm 42, 42 and a half, whatever you want to call it, 42. And my elbows, if they go out at all and a guy lifts an underhook, I just have to give up my arm. I'm getting like arm triangle. I didn't get arm triangled, but I got put in the arm triangle position. And then I have to use, you know, tiny little secrets of space to hide and breathe, which I can do really well. I'm good at that, but man, it was all survival. And then when it came down to the Americanas and the Kimuras, once they get a hold of my arm, I have no more movement in my shoulders. So there's not much way I can maneuver, especially when I have a monster brown belt who's probably should be a black belt and former MMA fighter, and he's good, man. I mean, I've trained him and he knows all my shit, and maybe not everything. I almost caught him, but he's good, man. He kicked my ass. So that was Dave. So anyway, all right. Let me think. Or let me scan through this. There's so many things to talk about. Um is there more ways to escape the crucifix? Yeah. I mean, there's definitely more ways. I mean, like, I don't remember if I've done a video on escaping the crucifix. Oh, you know what? I still owe someone, and you guys, is the ground and pound crucifix, trying to escape it and talking about it. I know that I still haven't done a video on that, escaping the ground and pound crucifix. It's such a hard position to deal with, guys, especially when you're tired. If you guys remember Matt Hughes and BJ Penn, that was BJ Penn, and he couldn't get out of Matt Hughes' crucifix. So, there's an example of how hard it really is. Even if you're BJ Penn, you're tired, you can't get out of it. So, really, truly, some positions that are really dangerous, it's more about prevention, preventing the position from materializing in the first place, not letting your body come out of position so you can get out leveraged and then crucifixed. I assume that's the crucifix you're talking about. So Hanoi, I was in Phuket. Um, so anyway, dope story to go with the scar, Anthony. Yeah. If kicks were allowed on the ground, will leg locks not work? No, leg locks will still work. It does change the game. It has to be factored in, but it doesn't mean leg locks don't work. I mean, obviously, if you slap a leg lock on quick like Ryan Hall does, you don't have time to kick Ryan Hall. So he's already torn your knee off before you even got a chance to try to kick him. So but having said that, it does change the game, because now that a guy can kick, in some ways he may kick you and that will lead to him getting out. In other ways, he may say, "Oh, now I can kick you," and he'll try to kick you, and then he'll get hurt because he won't defend the leg lock. Let's say technically, he'll try to use striking to defend, which sometimes can lead to the offensive grappler. I got a hiccup. The offensive grappler ends up like achieving what he wants to do, which is submit you. So remember, it can be a little double-edged to use striking as defense to grappling. Sometimes it works great. Other times you strike and then you lose. So you have to be smart about it. Okay. Did you motorbike through a small village or something? Maybe you hit something. Yeah, I don't remember. I have no real memory of it. I just woke up on the side of the road and it was pretty bad. I couldn't really see much. I thought I was going to die. I was bleeding all over. I was drinking blood, because so much blood was leaking. I had a CSF leak, which is your cerebral spinal fluid. Your brain sits in a bath of fluid in your skull. And because I had a crack, that's fluid was dripping out of my nose and down my throat a little bit. So it was actually very dangerous. Could have died. And I kept throwing up blood because blood was just rushing down my throat, and I was kept swallowing blood, and you have no choice. It's just trickling down. And so I kept vomiting blood. And it turns out that's not that dangerous. It sounded crazy. When it started happening, I kind of started to panic and I was in and out of consciousness. So obviously I had a huge concussion. I had 6 months of vertigo, which I was dizzy spells anytime I got up from a laying position. So yeah, I was pretty bad. Anyway, um, do you think Buchecha will transition well? Yeah, again, I don't know. I hope so. He's obviously a really good jiu-jitsu guy. I'm sure he'll do great for a little bit. So good luck to Buchecha. Hopefully he trains hard and he works on his skills and hopefully he can adapt well. He's a big boy, so I'll say this. Um, it's I think in my opinion it's a lot easier to be a big man in MMA than a small man. I think the road is just a little bit easier, especially when you're a world champion jiu-jitsu guy. I think when you're a world champion heavyweight like Buchecha, he's got if anybody's got a shot, it would be like him, a guy like him. I think it's a lot harder for a world champion at 155 pounds to try to come in and take on a Nurmagomedov. That would be a very tall order, probably not going to happen. So anyway, ZZ, Mike was your original sensei. That's cool, man. Yeah, he's a great guy. Mike's a great guy. I see him every once in a while driving around town. We still bump into each other sometimes. So question, coach. I'm getting better at positioning, but I'm not dangerous. For example, I'm in the mount and don't know what to do. Any advice? You're not dangerous. So Jamie asks, in the mount, stay down, keep your balance, do your best to, I like to go low mount, which means like grapevine hooks or crossed ankles. Keep your pressure on your opponent. Make sure you can control him. Look for little subtle position or moments where you can underhook his arm and crawl and finger crawl up the mat to get his elbows out. Remember how I said my arms don't do so well up here? Well, I always try to get my opponent's elbows out. Big goal is to get his elbows out. That way you can dominate him. Look for arm triangles, look for Americanas, look for the armbar position from S mount. You got to get his elbows out. Look for high mount. Look to be a more offensive. I choke a guy with a simple form in the neck a lot. I want to frustrate him. I want to grind him. I want to reverse crossface him. I want to make him make a mistake, make him expose his elbows, and that way I can attack. That's my advice. Through words, I don't know if it helps, but hopefully. So, what do you think of racism in the mats? Um, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever experienced racism on the mats. You know, I'm pretty much a white dude. The only racism that I've ever seen, I guess, would probably be the old Brazilian referee calls. They kind of tend to, you know, it could be, I guess, not racism, but nationalism. I've seen that before, but that's all I want to comment on that. I don't think the questions um, don't know how to answer it, Ohana. So yeah, I know Mike Ortiz had his accident. Can you make a video? Varun asks, can you make a video of the Dagestani handcuff technique where they trap the posting arm and collapse your base and ride you? Yeah, I the Dagestani handcuff technique. I think what you're talking about is just they capture the wrist and pin the guy down and punch him. Long before Dagestani guys were doing that, there was plenty of fighters doing that. But yeah, if people want to call it Dagestani, that's fine, I guess. A lot of their fighters are doing it now, especially with Nurmagomedov. Um, yeah, that would be good too. So there's another move we got to do. All I got to do is ask you guys what I should show next, and then you guys never fail to give me good ideas. So there's so many things. I have a ton of ideas in my head. I'm sorry I didn't do a video tonight, but uh, that's why I'm doing this. I wanted to do another Darsh video. I've got another Ghost video I got to kick out. There's so many things I got to do. Anyway, so coach, are we any closer to the Coach Brian John Danaher mega fight 2020? The real people need to see. Um, I don't know if we're any closer. I really have never wanted to fight John Danaher, but if you guys want to see it and you want to put up some money, I will fight John Danaher just for you guys. If you wanted to do it, no, come on, guys, it's not realistic, but it is funny. Um, I'm sure I don't want to fight anymore, but and I'm sure John Danaher doesn't want to fight. But either way, he's way bigger than me. But you know what? If somebody actually put up some money, I would do it. I would do it just for the opportunity, just to do it because that would be like a just an amazing thing. It's almost like Roy Jones saying, "Oh, you're gonna put up Mike Tyson? I'll fight him." Just because that's a great opportunity, let alone money or anything else. It's just why would you not want to take that fight if you're Roy Jones? That's how kind of how I would look at John Danaher, but it would just be an interesting experience. But anyway, no, we're not going to be fighting. That's a joke. So, how in the world would I train grappling during COVID lockdown? It depends on where you are, bro. Some people are still training. Sorry. Mm, maybe you learn how to lucid dream. Okay, do you think bad teachers can create a murderer? The youngest member, 17 years old, killed and robbed a motorcycle taxi driver, used the rear naked choke. I noticed how the ego of teachers attributed. Yeah, I mean, that's possible, guys. There's some jujitsu instructors out there that they're just not good human beings. They have skills, but they aren't good martial artists. They're not good human beings, and they will sadly rub off on students and create more bad in the world. And we don't want that. And one thing I really try to preach, guys, I'm a good guy. I don't do bad things. So I do my best to live my life the martial way, and be a good person. So yeah, that sucks. It very possible, Ohana. So, what's your thoughts on Kamzat Chimaev? Um, I think he's good. Um, I think he's really good. I'd still like to see him up against some better competition. I like how he has no fear to get after it and just get the takedown. Um, but yeah. Anyway, I'd love to see more. I'd like to see him face better competition. Mm, Let me move on. What types of takedowns do you not recommend for MMA? Um, Guard pull. Thank you, Nick. Don't pull guard for MMA except as a last resort. There's a few instances where I would pull guard, and it would be when you're getting the shit beat out of you. You have no other options. And I wouldn't just pull guard, I would pull into something like a leg lock, something. Anyway, a sweep or something. Anyway, what takedowns do I not recommend for MMA? I would say if you're a judo person, I do not recommend you do types of judo throws where you turn your back, and if you don't understand nogi grips, too often I've seen judo type throwers uh, basically get in a lot of danger because they kind of turn their back in the fight to do a throw and something slips because they're only used to doing it with a gi and then it slips. Those types of takedowns can be very risky. Obviously, if you have a good understanding and you're high level, you should be fine. When it comes to wrestling, the wrestlers out there that go for takedowns that I wouldn't recommend. Um, I would say a big part of the takedowns is just knowing how to like rhythm and set up your shots and your takedowns. Don't you cannot just blindly like duck your head and shoot. It's a good way to get hit in the face, and guy could sidestep, get out of the way. Um, you will see an occasional wrestler do that because they're a little nervous of striking, so they don't keep their eyes on their opponent when they are actually attacking. Keeping your eyes on your opponent is really important. Um, Anybody who trains striking knows that when punches are coming at you, even if you get hit and it makes you like close your eyes or flinch for a second, that's normal. But what happens is your eyes open right away. If they ever blink, they're open right after that. You don't kind of have this kind of cowering, turning your face kind of takedown. You don't want to do those types of takedowns. You want to make sure you keep your eyes on your opponent so you can see what's going on, and that comes through striking, trying to grapple while somebody's trying to hit you, and like I said, I think I recommend everybody have somebody put on some boxing gloves, some soft boxing gloves. You don't have to get hit hard, just get hit in the face though. Get hit in the face. Put your chin down, let punches hit you in the forehead, kind of make light contact so you get used to it, so that you train your muscles in your face to that flinch that you get. Like as I'm flinching right now, I look right afterward. It's almost like when you dive into a swimming pool, and if you feel like when you come out of the water, you have to be able to open your eyes right away. You can't be one of those people that like feel like you come out of the water and you have to keep your eyes closed and you have to like wipe your eyes. Like you've got to reach a point where something hits you, like I said, that water hits you, and you just open your eyes right away. Not close your eyes and have to do that. If you have those reactions, you're not ready for a fight. So okay, moving on. Will you please release videos under 5 minutes every now and then? I enjoy your content, but YouTube is a saturated platform. Yeah, sure. I'll take that into consideration. I know a lot of people, some people like longer videos. I teach more technique when I do longer videos. Sometimes when I do shorter videos, I sometimes regret that it's short because I as I edit the video or I'm like uploading it, I actually realize I'm like, damn, I didn't mention this or I didn't mention that. And then I feel like sometimes like I can't go back to it. I know I can, but I don't want to repeat the moves so much because there's so many topics. But I guess that just means I'd make another video and talk more about details. But yeah, I'll take that into consideration. So, hola, hola, hola from Kuala Lumpur. I just recently saw Michael Chandler speak on how very unlikely BJJ is off the bottom, rather the need for wrestling and MMA. Okay, Michael Chandler speak on how very unlikely BJJ is off the bottom, rather than the need for wrestling. I guess I interpret that as Michael Chandler said that wrestling's better than BJJ for MMA on the bottom. I guess. Michael Chandler, I know that name, but I don't know exactly who that is. Let me do a real quick search. Who's Michael Chandler? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Heard of the guy. Oh, so he fights in MMA. Fights in Bellator. Okay. Um cool. Yeah, I mean sometimes wrestling's better, sometimes jiu-jitsu is better. You should have both. I know I sound like a broken record, but Tasneem. So what staple wrestling tactics and techniques do you recommend for MMA? What staple wrestling tactics and techniques? You got to have shots, leg takedowns, single legs, double legs, know the ins and outs, how to finish them. Um, you should know some upper body throws, some clinch work, how to pummel really well, upper body. In America, they tend to spend a lot of time on leg attacks and not enough time in the upper body position. I think in American style wrestling, once you've been wrestling a long time, you usually get a well-rounded game. But for the most part, like high school wrestling, they focus more on lower body attacks rather than upper body attacks. I think upper body attacks deserve more. We should be interested in them. Those movements for MMA. You got to have your wrestling bottom escapes on point, especially if you're dealing with a jiu-jitsu guy. If they're not on point, a jiu-jitsu guy, you end up on the bottom. You scramble wrong like a wrestler, and you could get your back taken, get choked. You got to know how to use your wrestling properly for MMA, which means awareness of submissions while you do your wrestling. So hope that helps. Was working on the Darce choke from side control. Always find it hard to get under the arm and neck. And I really, of really big guys, 225 pounds plus. Should I just keep grinding to get it in deep? I mean, yeah, I mean, like if a guy's defending, I don't do that. Like basic philosophy, if somebody's blocking your technique, I don't like to grind. I don't like to, I want to find the easy way. So I think this makes you better as a technician. Now there is something to be said about closing the gaps and just like a chess player that just like slowly moves in and keeps cramping your opponent until they just literally wither and they give it to you. Something that can be said about that, but at the same time, it's also smart to, you already spooked him. He knows what's happening. Why keep grinding and wasting energy? Try to find the easy technique. That's how I like to grapple. I like to catch stuff. I want to catch it and I want to get it in there quick. I look at it like striking. I want to get my shot in. I want to touch you. I want to set you up and touch you clean. I don't want to just beat on your arms and you're blocking my shots and I just punch you so much on your arms that you're just like, you can't handle it anymore. And then I beat you that way. And it's a battle of attrition. Like, I will do that, but what I'm saying is like, what do I really want? I want to get something clean. I want to use as minimal effort as possible and catch you by surprise is what I would like. So if I were you and a guy's defending, I would move on. I would move to something else, but I would keep my eyes open. And then if you go to something else and he starts thinking about this, then come right back to your DARs. Maybe you'll be able to get in a little deeper, but don't try the move that where the guy knows it's coming right away. He's going to be able to defend it. It's pretty regular standard stuff. So don't do that. Do you think it'd be easy transition from a back take to backwards triangle to armbar? Yeah, I mean that's certainly possible. Zafar, I don't do it that much myself because when I'm on a guy's back, I've always stated this, guys, and I'm not saying forever like you're always going to be able to choke someone, but I like to choke people from the back, and I like to really work on that. Like the armbar, I certainly do it, but I really, really like to finish the choke. And when I say the choke, I mean the rear naked choke or variations of it. So I know it can be hard for a lot of people, but it's one of those things that I'm good at is opening up someone's neck. And I love the challenge of trying to open up their neck and get that choke. So, how should someone learn wrestling at home without a coach? And please consider creating a beginner wrestling series. Yeah, I would love to do that. That's Vivek. That would be a great idea. Doing a beginner wrestling series. If you don't have a coach, that's rough. You're gonna obviously have to do something like videos. Get a good partner that you can drill with, and then, like you just said, learn some basics through video and do your best to train at home. I know I may not be super enlightening, but that's what you got to do. Hello from Australia. Any chance you'll be coming to Sydney for a seminar? I'd love to. Guys, you're gonna have to do the work. You're gonna have to host me. I'm not like I don't know anybody in Sydney, but if you guys anybody knows anywhere around the world, you guys want to bring me out, let me know. We'll try to make it work. So, Coach Brian, I'm confused about hand placement for double leg. I've had my coach tell me to put my hands behind the knees, while my assistant coach says right below the butt. Pros and cons. Um, Daddy Fat Sack, love the name. Um, your hands, if you go behind the knees, the idea is the knees buckle, right? That's where the knee bend is. Makes sense. It's probably the prevailing thought with a double leg. Going below the butt has its advantage. If you go below the butt, and you lock, which gives you more ability to lock. It's harder to lock around somebody's knees because they stand wider with their legs. It's hard to tie them together with a lock. If you reach for a lock, you may not get it, and by then they've already sprawled and you've lost their legs. So it's better to grip behind the knees. If you go just below the butt, a little bit higher, you're dealing with a spot of the leg that does not bend and fold. It's not a joint that bends, so you're not pulling in at the joint. But when you go below the butt, you have more ability to lock. You could also argue you're controlling the hips. There's better control of the hips when you go below the butt. If you're going to be able to get up to your feet, sometimes lifting can feel a lot easier if you're below the butt, especially if you lock, obviously. So there's pros and cons to both. There's no way to say one is right, one is wrong. It's really up to the individual and the situation. So they're both good for different reasons. There's even people who go below the knees on double legs, and they teach to bring the hands down around the calves. So, there's variations. All right. Why aren't wrist locks more prevalent in MMA? Because they don't work. No, I'm just kidding. They're just, again, it's one of the smaller joints. Working on wrist locks, guys, it's kind of hard to wrist lock a lot of good guys. You got to get in some good positions. You got to be sneaky. Wrist locks are just not usually the first choice. They're not commonly taught. When there's striking involved, it just isn't going to be seen nearly as much. Having said that, if you're a master of wrist locks, they're definitely available. So I myself have wrist locked quite a few people in my day. So many people have been wrist locked. So okay. Getting tired here. Let me see. Do you think an arm triangle is more of a strength muscle submission? I assume this question comes from related to Marcelo Garcia, who says no arm triangles, no Kimuras. An arm triangle is definitely more strength and muscle than a naked choke that just goes around the just the neck. Having said that, no, it is not necessarily a strength thing. There is definitely technique to it. I can't wait to do a video on different types of arm triangle squeezing and finishing. That's a video I have planned in my head because I was just teaching it a couple weeks ago. How sometimes I finish arm triangles differently. So depending on the situation. So yes and no. That's the answer to the question. Wrist locks are hard with hand wraps. MMA gloves harder than without them anyway. Yeah. Is there any technique or drill you find in jiu-jitsu that is just no good, be it self-defense, sport, or whatever? Yeah. Yeah. The answer is yes. There are some techniques that I feel are just no good. One of them, it's hard to say no good at all. There's always some times where it's good. So maybe I'll take that back. But there's some jiu-jitsu movements that I'm not a big fan of that I learned in jiu-jitsu. I was never a big fan of the bottom escape where a guy practices the drill, shrimp. He's going to basically go belly down and he goes shrimp, shrimp, belly down, shrimp, shrimp, belly down. And they belly down and then they try to get up. I've never felt that was good to shrimp away from a side control and then belly down. I think you just get crushed with a massive sprawl of a good wrestler and he's going to go towards your back. I don't think the way most jiu-jitsu schools used to teach it. Again, I don't know what schools are doing nowadays, but I never taught that. I learned it that way and I was like, nope. So, although I did just show this morning a time where you actually do use that anyway when it came to defending Adars, but there's so many. Um, and then as far as self defense goes, yeah, there was a lot of self defense stuff in jiu-jitsu that was kind of hokey. I mean, it's not good for combative. It's more for like if you're facing someone who doesn't know anything, it might work on the street, but if it if it's not going to work on somebody who knows something, then I really don't want to practice it because I feel like you can you should probably spend the majority of your time practicing techniques that will work on good people because if you can do it on them, you can do it on anybody who doesn't know anything most of the time. Um, Now, having said that, there's nothing wrong with knowing some moves that are quick and easy that will work on someone who doesn't know how to do jujitsu. So that will also be good. And that's why I like to know a lot of moves. That's why I know a lot of moves because I like that. I like to be able to catch somebody really, really simple. And if they're really good, then I'll use the really combative stuff. So yes. You are welcome, Anthony. Uh who do you have with the old man fight, Tyson or Jones Jr.? Lorenzo asks, I really don't know, but I lean towards um, Roy. So I'm leaning toward Roy Jones, but the thing is they both haven't looked that good. It's going to be interesting because Tyson's going to move forward. Jones is going to let it. There's no way that Jones is going to stop Tyson from moving forward. He's going to go against the ropes. He's going to try to weather a storm. Is he going to be able to weather that storm? I don't know. Is he probably faster than Tyson? Probably. Is he going to be able to clip Tyson every now and then? Probably. How tired is Tyson going to get? Probably really bad, unless he knocks out Jones right away. Very possible as well. I don't know what's going to happen. It's exciting. Let's find out. But if I really, really was pressed to pick, I'd probably pick Roy Jones just because I think he's a little bit younger. He just competed in 2018. I know his opponent wasn't amazing, but he's still blindingly fast. And for the most part, maybe not at the highest level with the young guys, but he should be very, very fast for Iron Mike. And it'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch it. I should get on TRT. Yes, that's what they tell me. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any experience with it. Guys, I'm getting very, very tired all of a sudden. Um, it's been going for a little while. My eyes are starting to fall asleep. Um, how practical is judo with nogi? I mean, it's still practical. You can, if you're good at judo, you can still throw the shit out of people nogi. Um, but obviously, it's slightly limited if you're not used to the grips. Yeah, Gary Goodrich just crushed. Um, Forgetting his name now. With the elbows, early UFCs. I used to know him, Paul Herrera. Yeah, because and then he became a fight promoter, believe it or not. Anyway, that same guy who got elbowed really bad by Gary Goodrich became a fight promoter in California. Anyway, who do you got, GSP or Khabib? I would, I would choose Khabib over GSP. Um, yeah, when someone's on top of you. So Barbarian's asking about the ground and pound crucifix. He wants to know how to get out of that. I promise you guys, I'll try to do a video addressing it soon. You may not like what you're going to see. I'm going to be talking a lot about how position is showing you how, if it's done right, it's very, very difficult to get out. I do have some ideas for you, but guys, again, if a guy you get a big fresh guy on top of you and you're a little tired, it's going to be very hard. But I've got some ideas, a few different ideas. I'm not saying they'll work every single time, but I have used it before to get out. So anyway, oh my goodness. So guys, listen. I know I can't get to everybody's question, but you know, Thank you guys so much. I just kind of scrolled towards the end, so just kind of looking at the end. Uh, I'll get one more question, guys. Let me just pick something real easy. Um, so sorry, I can't really. I'm falling asleep, guys. I'm like trying to read, and it's hard to even keep my focus right now. I just work so much, so I'm sorry. I'm like totally out of it. Um, guys, I've just been busting my ass so much. Again, I cook barbecue on the weekends, every other weekend. I burned myself the other day. My arm touched the barbecue. That's actually a burn, and I'll lose that skin soon. And anyway, so many things, guys. I got to keep putting out the content for you guys. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'm going to be headed to Utah this weekend. So we have a big national wrestling tournament this weekend in Utah. I believe it's in Farmington. I don't know if any of you guys are in Utah or nearby. There's going to be a national wrestling tournament put on by USA Wrestling. It's going to be in Utah. It starts tomorrow, and I'm not going to be there for the Greco or the freestyle. I'm going for the folk style. I've got a couple of my boys. You guys see them on the videos. They're going to be competing in the national tournament, trying to get some exposure, some national exposure, because so many of the tournaments are shut down right now. So if you guys are anywhere near, no, it's not Fargo. Fargo is not happening that I know of. And it's going to be in Utah. It's called the Western States Championship. So if you guys are interested, it is the Western States, and okay, Farmington, Utah, and I'm only gonna be there Friday and Saturday, but if you guys are there, I'll be there. So, um, Farmington, Utah, this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then I'm gonna be flying back, getting back on Sunday. So I'm not gonna stay there very long. I'm really just flying out for the weigh-ins and the competition, trying to get my boys some national experience. One of my boys is young. He's only a freshman. Well, he's going to a sophomore year now, but he's solid. And the other one is his older brother. He's going into his senior year. Neither one of them have competed at a national tournament like this before, but they are ranked in the state in California, and they are very good. They're sleepers. They're dark horses. People don't know who they are, so I kind of like it. You know, I can't wait to unleash them and see how they do. And the great thing about them not being like known, they got nothing to lose. It doesn't matter. Like if they go out there and they get crushed, nobody's even gonna care or even know or think anything. I have a feeling my boys are gonna do pretty well, even if they do not make it to the medal stand. I think they're gonna make some impact. I think they're gonna at the bare minimum they're gonna surprise some people and get a couple wins, or they're gonna at least give some national level wrestlers a little run for their money. So I can't wait. So that's what's going on this weekend. Yes, it is streamed. It's going to be, man, I want to say Track Wrestling. It might be called Trackcast. So it's going to be streamed. Um, yeah. So if you guys look up, if you end up looking it up, if you guys know how to find it, Western States Championships, um, my boys will be representing Peterson Grapplers. So we'll be there. Um, I'm not going to be able to post any videos of the tournament unless I steal the footage from their stream, because this tournament they're not allowing people to watch and they're also not allowing anyone to videotape. So this event is going to be like kind of like closed event, kind of like the UFC. And so me as a coach, I get to go inside, but I can't. I have to wear a mask and I can't stay there. I have to coach my guys and then get out. So, and then every time you go out to wrestle again, you go out, you walk out with them, you wrestle, and you get out, and you're not allowed to video. There's no videoing. So, and I think they just don't want people to like congregate and do that. So, anyway, um, hopefully they'll do well. Thank you guys so much, and I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think I got a Darce video for you guys. I want to just talk about different Darce squeezing, how to finish the Darce, different ways to do it. That tune in tomorrow. I'm gonna get that Darce video out. A lot of people do Darce videos, and there's a lot of great content on Darce videos. I don't think anyone has done a Darce video like I'm gonna do tomorrow, which is talking about the different mechanisms. And I really, really want to give you guys what I know, and it's going to contribute. And hope you guys enjoyed. So thank you guys so much. No, I did not get smashed by a tuk-tuk. No, but guys, thank you guys so much. Darce coming tomorrow. Please tune in. Thank you guys so much. Teach Me Grappling. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Have a good night.